What's good, you guys? It's your boy Jay Freshman back with another tutorial. Today I want to actually go over more of mixing, and in this particular situation what I did was I made a beat in Machine and I pretty much just dragged it over to FL Studio to get it mixed. That's why everything is like comped together, mainly the drum loop, because everything else is still like a solo thing. I have a few perks that's put together, but they're all in its own place, so you know, it's pretty much its own individual sound. This melody right here, Black Rose Melody, is actually from my End of Nexus kit, which I gave out for free. It's a loop kit. Make sure you go check that out. It's also a MIDI kit as well. So we're just going to go into End of Nexus. I just want to show you how it sounds because I actually chopped it up. So this is how it sounds before I chopped it up. And I might actually have this as an intro. I think that would be dope. Let me just actually hear this back. Where the bass come in is where I actually chopped. So now we can hear this one. Make sure you chopping it up and making it unique, like how I did it with this one. This sounds way different. Like the arrangement. So let's just get into it. I got my sounds. I'm gonna bring it to the mixer. So nothing is too loud. Let's just check our levels. Remember, gain staging first. Play everything all at once. Actually, it may clip. Let's just see. So what's happening right now, the mastering is clipping, but our sounds, they're coming in like loud, but they're not clipping. So, but we need to turn it down so our master don't clip. So we're gonna start off with the drum loop. I would say you can have your drums hit around -6 dB. Usually I have my kicks hit around like -9 and my claps hit around -9. And then my hi-hat is like somewhere where the melody is, where it's like around -18. So my drums usually either hit at 6 or 3. So that's just a good threshold. So we just getting our levels right. Get our crash right. Like, you don't want to crash that loud. It's always good to like turn things down. So it's around here. Playing the counter melody. Counter melody can stay where it's at. Put in the Black Rose Melody. So there's actually the bass that's part of this Black Rose Melody, so it has to be somewhat loud. It can't just be at 18. And depending on if I decide to put a bass line or use this as a bass line, I may have to cut. So now everything is balanced. We're still clipping a little. So what I want to do is just kind of, instead of trying to go back and bring things down again, all you have to do, if you have FL20, Shift and Control, and then you just highlight all of them all together and just bring them down. And that's a good spot. Always want to have your master around like -6 and -3, nothing higher. Like when it comes to trap, you don't have to do too much with your trap drums, especially if you're getting it from like your loop kits. If you're using stock plugins, then you may have to add in some EQ boost and some compression. But if you have like drum kits and stuff, most of these drum kits already come out, you know, knocking if you have some quality ones. I have quality ones and you can check that out in the link below. But either way, what we're gonna do here is just kind of compress it. And I'm gonna actually, what I like to do when I'm compressing, and with the Fruity compressor, I like to use the limiter. So I will have the limiter like this, detach it. This way you can see the compression rather than trying to listen out for it. But always still use your ears. So I like to go halfway. You're trying to set the threshold where all these peaks at the top kind of matches the lower peaks, which is like the hi-hats. It just kind of glues it together. So that is around about negative 10 dB that we want to bring our threshold down to. You ain't got to make it exact. And then the ratio is just how hard you want it to compress. And you're going to see below. This is why I like to do it this way, because then I can see my compression and I can hear it. And then with the attack, if you have your attack very low, it's going to take out the transients. You don't want to do that. But in the beginning, you do want to do that just so you can hear your compression more. This is a trick that I got from Lifestyle Did It. He'll boost his ratio, boost his threshold, turn down his attack very low, and turn down his release very low, and then he'll work his way with the attack and the release to get that sound of the compression, and then we'll set our threshold back to 11 dB, and then we'll figure out our ratio from there. So as you can hear, like a little distortion. Compressors can give off distortion when the release is low and the attack is low. So you could use that as a kind of trick to with your 808s. All right, so we're gonna pull up our attack. You see how when you pull up the attack, that the body comes back. If you have it at 0, then it's definitely cutting it off. That's like a hard compressor. But when you bring some back, it has that pop. But I still want the body in it. That's good. Bring it to back to our 11, and then bring it back to, 4 or 2 to 1. Bring up the gain again. Now we're going to A-B it. And before we A-B it, we got to turn off our compressor to see where it was initially hidden. All right, so the compressor is at -9 as well. So I'm going to A-B it. Make sure you guys can hear the difference. So what I'm hearing right now is more power in the hi-hats, so focus on the hi-hats, and you can even see the difference when it comes on. The hi-hats is more pulled up rather than the other ones is lower. That's why this just makes a good visual way to see your compression, and it's good to see it like this because you will actually think that you will have to turn it down because the hi-hat just sounds louder, but in reality your kicks and everything is still hidden at the same. You're still at -9 dB, but this is what the compressor is doing, is bringing up the hi-hats. Right, if you want that absolute punch and grit to your kick, then you could keep your ratio low, but it's just too much going on. Find a good median. So that just fits better in the mix, because if you could hear it back, like the bass of the kick is just way too bassy. Like, hear it. And if we're going to add our bass line, that is definitely going to interfere. So you gotta, like I said, you gotta keep foreseeing your mix, and then just kind of listen back to it, or better yet, pull up an EQ. See if any frequency needs any kind of boosting or any kind of cut. I maybe cut just a little right here. The highs look pretty loud. When it's very bright in one spot, it could probably be very loud. So you just kind of want to take it down a little. Like the kick doesn't need to get, boosted more. We can see how it sounds for a certain frequency. Just a little subtle difference. That's just the crash and a little shaker. You can add some reverb for the shaker. And I actually might pull the shaker up because you can barely hear it. Turn on that reverb. You can even put reverb on your drum loop. Let's just see how that sounds.
Yeah.
So this melody right here has bass in it. But we also want to check the stereo image. I pulled up a stereo image, even though you could see from here that is mono, right? But now we could get more unique with it. We have highs in it. I like to spread the highs, so make sure you put your stereo on to bring in, you know, the stereo separation. Yeah, like turn those up. If you're wearing headphones, you can feel that difference and hear it. Let's hear the bass. You never want your bass like this. In certain situations, you could get unique and do it like this, but if this is not the main bass, I would take that out and keep it mono. I can even spread this a little. So, always A/B it. You can turn down the highs. Like, I want it to be noticeable, but not too noticeable. Now, it's always good to hear it with the mix. Probably could use the same reverb.
Yeah.
Actually, I still got to cut this. I didn't cut out the bass. So let me do that. So actually, before I even do this, I could just cut out the bass like this, but if I like that bass in the actual melody, I could just cut out the stereo of the bass in this melody, and I'm gonna show you what I mean. But at the same time, I could just cut it just to cut out the excess. I'm not gonna do too much of a cut, but I have something called passive EQ. You could also do this with stop plugins, but I might have to make another tutorial on that because that gets more involved with Patcher, and Patcher is just a beast in itself. All right, so we just gonna listen to the stereo of it. So you can hear there's bass in the stereo fill of this sound. So we're gonna cut it with a high pass. Make sure we get it off the link, unlink it. The whole thing with mixing, you gotta train your ears, because if you're not able to hear the difference of what you're doing, then your mixes won't ever like really turn out good. There's a I'm not affiliated with this company, but soundgem.co is what I use. Well, I used to use it, but I am about to get back on it more because I realized how much more of a difference it makes in your beats if you could hear these things. So that's like a subtle difference. But plays a big part. I'm gonna actually do the same for this sound as well. Right now, I know this video is probably going to be a bit long, so I'll probably save that bass line for another video or try to make this bass and this sound be the bass. So let's put it, unlink it. That's a lot of bass in the stereo fill. That cut already would do the job. Take it off the slide. Nice. And listen to the low end and see how it goes from the stereo into a center position. If you're able to hear that, you're a genius. All right, so we're gonna pull up an EQ. I'm just gonna probably cut up to 30 hertz, maybe even boost. You can either boost or I'm gonna use R bass. Off the back, you already hear the difference. So you can even look at the EQ and see what's happening. Hold on, let me detach it so you can see the difference. Always use visual stuff, man. Like, especially if you're not in a treated room. Barely any frequencies. Now look. You got bass tones. But remember, this is still on the same sound, so we're gonna need to bring back in some of the melody frequencies so it don't get like washed out from the bass. We can bring in some highs. And we could boost this high because it's more about texture at this point. Take out some mud around 300. Get your levels right. It can't be that low because ain't no energy. We may have to put a compressor on it. A good way to see if you need a compressor, just look how it's jumping. So it's really that bass that we need to control. I would suggest using a multi-band compressor so you could just only focus on compressing the bass. But I kind of want to glue the bass and the melody a bit more together, even though the sound that's part of the sound. So you could think about it in both ways, but to make it not too complicated, I'm just gonna go with the compressor. Let's get the limiter pulled up so we can see what's going on visually. All right. Those peaks right there, we can control that with the attack. Let's find our threshold on the limiter. Go to the lowest point, which is about 15 dB. It's gonna go to 16. Bring up the ratio. So I took out those peaks. I controlled it. You You can even control it a bit more. And 2-to-1 does the job. And we could just kind of boost it back up. If you want it more linear, go up with the ratio. I'm gonna go to 4-to-1 pretty much. Let's A/B it. Right now, it's gonna be a dramatic difference. You don't really want to match it to that one because it's just like we really made it into a whole different shape. So we're really just gonna have to go by ear. Because if we turn it up that loud, the reason why it's not going to work if we turn it up to the point that it was originally is because I made it more linear with the ratio and it's just more squash. So the more I bring it up, all of that like grit and the lowest sounds that you didn't hear before is getting pulled up as well. So you don't want to go that high. Kind of like it's a ceiling on it already. And you can even use the other EQ to take out some mud if you feel like there's some mud. In some highs for this, or some grit. Now, this hearing everything back, I will bring back in the imager because it makes the bass get more focused as if it was on a different track. Because remember, we put like the lower tones in mono. And if we look at our melody is probably like around here somewhere. So this went up to 140. I think the melody probably starts around maybe 180-ish or whatever. So, you know, putting that in mono doesn't really affect the melody as much. So. Right. You can hear the bass is getting washed away a little without the imager. Now turn it back on. Off. On, off, on. So it's more controlled. And there you have it, you guys. And then from there, you could just pretty much master it. I'll save that for another video, but you can make your mix however you want it, and it could get a lot better than this. But those are just things that you want to focus on. So even if you don't really like how it came out, you know, music is very subjective. But what I want you to actually take away from this video is, you know, the thought process of how I thought about certain things, you know, with the imager, with the R bass and all that stuff. So let's just hear it back again. Take away the effects. And there you have it.